welcome back to my study here in Sydney. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a wonderful week. So a bit of a chatty video today. I just wanted to update you on how the commencement of the master's degree is going and just a few other things. So not as smoothly as I was hoping for, unfortunately, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But it is Monday today. The day started at 7 a.m. with a live discussion that went so well. So this was the culmination of the week-long event that I think I mentioned in a couple of past videos that I hosted with Dr. Owen Emerson. So it was called Rise of a Queen, and we basically, through 6 pre-recorded lectures, explored Anne Boleyn's rise to the crown. And today was the live, so the 7th sort of installment of that program. And it went so well. Lots of fantastic and insightful, thought-provoking questions from participants. I really do love hosting those events because it's so nice to be able to interact with people, hear people's thoughts. So that is ticked off for the year, and that will be my last short event because I normally host a few of those and the long yearly course. So that one has been ticked off. We're very happy with how it went. Lots of great feedback. I'm just uploading the recording now of the live, and everybody has access to all that material for 2 months. So, you know, if they weren't able to watch all the recordings, they certainly have a lot of time to do that. So that's what I'm doing now. I also, straight after that, went to do my Pilates class, which was quite a tough class today, but, you know, really good workout. And then got home, had lunch, and it's now 12:30, and I've kind of only just sat down, but that's okay because I've got the rest of the day for work and study. So back to the master's degree. So there was a little hiccup. I was really hoping to get ahead with the readings and the study because, of course, I have a very busy workload with the podcast and events that I run and my Patreon community, of course. So I was really hoping to get ahead, and I had emailed the convener a couple of times, and she mentioned that there was a little bit of a delay because people were still enrolling, which was absolutely fine. But what ended up happening was that I did not receive the emails that students received to alert them to activating the university email. I think you can see where this is going. Oh, and if you're new here, I'm doing a Masters of Medieval Studies with the University of Wales, Trinity St David, via distance, because I live in Sydney and I work full-time and I have a family, etc. So last week I noticed that lots of other people, of course, were talking about the start of their degrees, and I thought, what is going on? So I emailed and yes, discovered that I had not received those emails, that in fact the course had started without me, which is kind of sad. Thankfully only 1 week passed, so I missed the classes, I missed preparing for the readings, I missed all of that. I won't lie, it was a little bit stressful. I did kind of feel like crying a little bit because, of course, I've done everything possible to try to be really organized so that I wouldn't fall behind, and here I am behind after only 1 week. So I got access to the material on Friday, so today's Monday, it's been a few days, and I am doing 2 subjects, so this is a full-time load. So Latin, it's an intensive beginner's Latin, and then there's a subject on research skills and basically the work of historians. So from Friday, I have literally spent, 20 hours working on the Latin. I honestly have been questioning all my life's choices. I knew that it said it was intensive, but I don't think I had any idea really about how intensive that would be. So the program we're following, let me just get the books for you. So we're using these books, Reading Latin, Grammar and Exercises. It's the 2nd edition, Peter Jones and Keith Sidwell, as well as the text. So that's a separate book, and we're working from these. Now, the suggested time to spend working on this material, according to this program and using these textbooks, is 30 hours per week. Yes, that's not an error, 30 hours per week. So in saying that, our lovely lecturer, tutor, said she realizes this is not feasible. Most people that are doing the program I'm doing have jobs, full-time jobs, have families, have young children, have all sorts of things going on in their lives. And 30 hours just on one subject, I'm doing 2, It's very overwhelming to hear that. However, now that I've sort of started, it is going to take a lot of dedication and study in order to try and master this. I have never studied this before. I've never studied Latin. This is my first time really having a go at this, and I don't want to make too many comments now because I'm very early on in the program, but it is quite challenging. It is going to take all my brain power to get through this, I think. I have signed up for the second half of this for the next semester, but I think I'll reassess once I see how I go with the first part, if I get through it, fingers crossed. So if you're a Latinist or you're also studying Latin, send me all your tips. I know I've got palm cards, so I'm making lots of little flashcards and trying to memorize the things you need to get memorized. But if you've got any other tips, let me know, please. Any apps or anything you know of, I'd absolutely love that. So basically, I had a homework task due for Latin on the Sunday night, last night. And so that's all I've been doing. I haven't even really been able to have a look at my other subject. I watched the class that I missed, but I haven't done any of the reading. So that is on my to-do list. So you remember last time I mentioned that I'm using, so I've got an academic planner to plan my sort of studies. Sorry, just trying to find the front cover. No, that is not the front cover. So it's this one that I showed you last week, and that's from Pumpkin Productivity. And I love it because it's just got, it's got a space to write your daily checklist, and I need to add to that. So today what I wanted to do was focus on the readings that I missed from week 1 for my research subject. So I've already done all the reading for Latin for week 1, although, I still have palm cards and things that I need to sort of create. And then, yes, try and get ahead on week 2 stuff. And hopefully at some point I'll get ahead and I won't be feeling so behind. But now I've got everything. I've got all the material. I've got the outlines of everything. I've got all the reading lists. So, that's really great. But it's just a real pity that after I, was really keen to get ahead, I ended up behind, which is not good. Not good at all. So I am still using my beautiful Paper Republic journal that I showed you all in another video for my history work, so my podcast, my exercise routine, and my sort of personal, appointments and things. And then my academic planner to plan my day in terms of the academic readings I need to do and assignments. I've got all the assignment dates, all the exam dates, all of that fun stuff. Now, the other thing I'm doing is using Notion to organize my research and my work and my study. So Notion, I don't know if you know of it, it's like a workspace where you can write, you can plan, you can organize, you can work on projects, and you can store a lot of information. So I'm not by any means an expert on Notion. I'm sort of teaching myself, and I'll probably do a couple of Skillshare courses as well. But I'm really liking it. I don't know, I prefer it to Google Docs or anything like that. So I think what I'm going to do, I've already started using it. I use it for my personal, income and expenses. I keep track of all of that in Notion. There's great templates that you can get for free, or you can pay for things as well. It's quite easy to create databases, to create almost things that look like little web pages, essentially. So do have a look at Notion if you haven't seen it yet, but I think it's a really great place to keep all your work. And so what I've got is separate areas for my Tudor research, because I fall down so many rabbit holes. And rather than having all these bits of Word documents and links to things, I have it all together. And you can include images and links to things, videos, anything you want can sort of go. So it is a bit similar to Google Docs, but I quite like it. I do quite like it, and I want to learn how to use it a little bit more. Because you can have things nested as well, you can keep a sort of main page quite neat and then have like a toggle bar with other information. So my plan is to use Notion to do my note taking for the readings, the weekly readings that are required for the research subject that I'm doing. With the Latin, it's very important, I think, for me to be handwriting that, because I am one of those people that learns a lot when I'm actually writing. I don't know that link between brain and hand or something. So I've got a notebook. I bought an extra notebook today, just like my normal notebook, where I'm going to do all my homework exercises. And then I've just got one of these lovely talking Tudors, it's time to talk Tudors notebooks, where I'm making notes on the video lectures that the tutor puts up. So each week for Latin, we have a video lecture that the tutor uploads and we can just watch at our leisure, and she tells us to pause and do activities out of the textbook. So in this one, basically, I'm just keeping track of notes from those presentations. And these are the things I need to memorize. Scary just looking through, and I've literally done a few days only, and there's so many pages. So yes, I'm keeping notes from the lectures, the video lectures here. Then in my other notebook, I am doing my handwritten homework and lots of practice activities. There's a lot of practice activities, and I feel like handwriting that is better than typing it for me. So I'm going to do that. And then when I submit homework, every Sunday we have to submit homework, I type it up. Obviously, I don't think the tutor wants to see my messy notes. So then I'll type it up for her. So that's how I'm taking notes for Latin. But for my research subject, I'm using Notion. So every week, just listing all the readings, having a little toggle down menu under the readings so that I can put my notes, my thoughts. Now the classes for the research class and for Latin are not at a good time for me, unfortunately. They're on Wednesdays at, well, this week it'll be from 9:30 p.m. till 11:30 p.m. for the history research subject. And then there's actually a clash as well, then 11 till midnight for Latin. Once the UK come off summertime, happening very soon, that will actually be 10:30 p.m. till 12:30 and 12 till 1 a.m. Not good. My plan is to attend this week's, and they're not compulsory, by the way, because of course they know that people live all over the world. So that's just a sort of nice thing to do if you can. But everything's recorded. So I have watched those from last week. It was really nice to see some of the people on the course and to see the tutors, of course, and the lecturers. But I'm actually going to try to attend this week's class, because this week it starts at 9:30. I'm not good staying up late, but I want to sort of say hello to everyone and just, at least participate in one of these live classes. And so in that class, in the research class, that's where you discuss the content of the course. Whereas the Latin, that's more a chance to just ask any questions that you had from the homework. Trust me, there will be a lot of questions from the homework. So it's not really presentation of new content. It's more just answering questions, recapping, whereas the main content is taught through the video lectures and then the textbooks and the practice exercises and homework. So I don't feel too bad that I'm not going to be able to attend those due to time zone issues, because of course I just watch them. I just watch the recordings. So there's the update for you. I was feeling quite overwhelmed. I won't lie. Sometimes I think on social media we have this sort of very curated, obviously, selection of things that we present to people about our lives. I mean, of course, life is tough. There's no doubt about that. And this was difficult, feeling that I had done everything possible to kind of get ahead and ended up a week behind. And also just, I think I was a little bit ignorant of the amount of work required to actually get anywhere near mastering Latin. But I'm going to give it a good go. I'm going to lock in, as the kids say. They were like, Mum, just lock in. So I've tried to lock in. I've done quite a lot. I got my homework in. No idea whether it's, a complete fail or not, but that's all just formative assessment. So that does not contribute to your mark. But I desperately need feedback to know whether there are no answers in the textbooks, of course. So you could be completely heading in the wrong direction. You really wouldn't know unless you submit your homework, then you get feedback from the teacher. So at this moment, the Latin class is the one that's making me most nervous. Really exciting when it does sort of click though. You're like, wow, you sort of feel like Lady Jane Grey all of a sudden, or Elizabeth I. Honestly, utmost respect for anyone who has managed to master this language. The thing that's really getting me is that there's no order. There are no, the words are just all over the shop in the sentence. So of course there are ways of working the order out, but I mean, that's making it very difficult. And I speak Spanish as well as English, luckily, because the Spanish does help in terms of how the the verbs are conjugated and all of that, but still very challenging for my brain in your late 40s, but I think really good to do that and to give yourself a bit of a challenge. So yes, wanted to just update you on all of that. So a bit of a rocky start, but I'm going to persevere. Of course, I'm going to persevere and do my best. I feel like I need to just get into the rhythm of how I manage this with the podcast and the courses and the Patreon community and everything else. I'm thinking about breaking it up into days, like dedicating days to the university work, a couple of days to podcasts and other things. But the problem with that is that I've already scheduled all the rest of this year's interviews, and they're just, they're everywhere. There's no set days for that. They literally are everywhere, and lives and all of that. So the suggestion from our tutor was that, in fact, for Latin, the better choice is to do a little bit daily, or as often as you can, rather than have like one day that's your Latin day. So I think I'm going to absolutely take her advice. She knows what she's talking about, and try and do some every day, because it's quite easy to forget the stuff, of course, if you don't use it. So while I was in the car, I went for a drive. My husband got a new car the other day, and I dropped him off, and on the way back from the drive, I am chanting the verbs so that I can try and remember. So yes, I think it's going to be a matter of doing some every day, to be honest with you, if I'm going to stand any chance against this. So yes, there's my update. I'm going to now, as I said, work on the readings that I missed last week for my history research subject. There's homework for that as well that's due tomorrow. It didn't look too onerous. I'm not too stressed. I'm going to do that. And then, of course, I have to do this week's reading. So, yes, this is what I was trying to avoid. But anyway, no point in complaining. So, basically keeping me very, very much, attempting to be organised are my Paper Republic, my academic planner, and organisation is going to be key. Absolutely key here, as is a sort of efficient note-taking scheme. So Notion for the notes on the readings, handwritten notebook for my my Latin, because there's so much grammar, that word grammar is just stuck in my head, from my Latin subject, handwriting the practice exercises down using my other notebook for the video lecture material. Asking lots of questions. They've said ask questions when you need to, and dedicating a lot of time to this. There's no other way around it. And I'm just looking at my checklist, my to-do list for history, talking tutors and whatnot, and it is very long. Deep breath. It will all be okay. All right, any tips, any advice on the Latin stuff? I want to hear it. Absolutely want to hear it. So yes, like I said, very chatty video, but just wanted to bring you up to date on what is going on. Hopefully I work out a bit of a rhythm that's going to work for me, and I, can get through all of this. I think this week is going to be really interesting in terms of balancing work, life, and study. Hoping that I'll be able to just find something that works. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be able to have no podcast work on any day, because I basically do podcast stuff 5 days a week, and course stuff and all of that. So I think it's going to have to be a bit of a mixture on every day. I did work the whole weekend. It would be really nice to try and find at least one day off, a Sunday maybe. But then that's when homework's due and things. So yeah, so I'm playing it by ear a little bit and test out a few different things. Definitely loving Notion. Let me know if you've had any experience with it, and any other tips you have for managing full-time study, master's degree, as well as full-time work and family. I really would love to hear any tips. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed this little update. Let me know what you're doing, what you're up to, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. But until then, please take good care of yourself. Bye-bye.